the Christmas tree. Have a happy holiday.
So, I'm Sam.
I'm Alicia.
I'm Nadia.
And we're from the Television's Production Department at the Caribbean Broadcasting Corporation.
Wishing you a Merry Christmas.
And a Happy New Year.
Season's greetings.
And I all body hand.
Me too.
All body hand. All body hand.
While you go about your business, we go about our business, and that is gather. Good morning. It is Thursday, December the 29th, 2022. I'm Pearson Bowen. This is the CBC Morning Report. There's a new global concern for a resurgence in the COVID-19 pandemic. China is going through a new surge that's accounting for an average of 1 million new cases per day, with the latest figures in excess of 37 million. But what does all this mean for Barbados, with our protocols having been lifted? Well, joining us now to discuss this is Dr. Kurt Douglas, the Director for the Center for Biosecurity here in Barbados. Dr. Douglas, good morning to you. Well, given the concerns that Barbados has, we're now in the midst of our winter tourist season. Lots of people are coming. We've lifted our protocols. What concerns you about Barbados' readiness in this resurgence in China? It seems as though Dr. Douglas cannot hear me, so we'll try to resolve that and get back to him and hopefully be able to discuss this and a whole lot more in just a moment. But we get more on this development now, with the United States now requiring negative COVID-19 tests for travelers from China.
The U.S. is considering imposing new rules for passengers arriving from China. It says it's because of a lack of transparency about the size of the outbreak. Anyone traveling from China to Taiwan, Japan and India already has to show a negative COVID test. But Hong Kong is moving the other way. It's cancelling requirements for PCR tests for people arriving in the territory from Thursday. Quarantine for passengers testing positive will also be abandoned.
Visitors coming from overseas, the mainland Macau and Taiwan, do not have to do mandatory PCR test when they arrive at Hong Kong. Instead, rapid antigen test will be required all the way through the 5th day.
While the jump in infections in China and the potential regional impacts have been keeping investors on edge, Florence Louis has more on that from Hong Kong.
If you look at the performance of the stock indices in Hong Kong, I think it mirrors how people feel about this decision. The Hang Seng Index rose 1.6%. And I think the business community is largely happy and also confident about Hong Kong's ability to cope with rising COVID cases. Remember, when Hong Kong had the very strict rules, it was seen as something that affected the city's reputation as an international financial center. Now, it's a rather different story in China, however. Its main indices, the CSI 300 index as well as the Shanghai Composite Index, both recorded minor losses. And I think this overall reflects just how investors feel about China's ability to cope in the short to medium term with the explosion in COVID cases on the mainland. China's health facilities are under immense strain. Its hospitals, its medical staff are overwhelmed. There's a shortage of medicines in some places. Funeral homes are full. They're not accepting appointments until next year. So, and the modeling that some health experts have used predicts that there could be 1 to 2 million deaths in China the next year. And so I think what we're seeing in the stock markets in Hong Kong and China really reflect how people feel about these two places' ability to cope with coronavirus in the coming months.
Well, COVID is also on the rise in Japan. A new day record of 415 deaths was recorded yesterday.
Health Ministry data showed there were 200,000 new infections. That's up 4% from a week earlier. In the past month, Japan has registered the world's second highest COVID-19 death toll after the US, according to Johns Hopkins University.
Well, with all of that, we just want to now connect with the Director of the Biosecurity Department here in Barbados, Dr. Kurt Douglas. Dr. Douglas, good morning.
Hi, good morning, Pearson.
Good
morning, Barbados.
Given all that we've just heard about what's happening in China, now Japan, How concerned are we here in Barbados about our readiness to be able to combat this, given that we are also in the midst of our winter tourist season?
I think what we're seeing play out globally, especially in China, is perhaps the change from the epidemic going from a pandemic phase now to being more endemic, where this is something that we will see ongoing from year to year, much like influenza. And so therefore, China is obviously the epicenter of the COVID-19 outbreak. This is where it has first started. And what you're seeing, the evolution, obviously, of strains as well that are emerging from China. So I think throughout the world, what we can do is not panic, however, to make preparation for increased mortality and morbidity. And therefore, I think most countries at present have the infrastructure in place. I know Barbados as well has the infrastructure in place. And I know that most countries would have also reduced their mask mandates, taking them away. But I would just urge a bit of caution for individuals, even though the national mandate may have changed, that personally, for your own personal health and safety. For example, if you are someone who is immunocompromised for whatever reason, like persons with lupus, and you have a particular underlying comorbidity that may make you more prone to the severe form of the disease, then you can take actions into your own hands and protect your own personal safety by masking and washing of hands. The 27th of December, which just was 2 days ago, was the epidemic preparation or preparedness day. And we in the Caribbean, we all over the world have to do, I think, a better job in terms of being prepared with a mindset that we are being prepared rather than reacting, rather than just responding. And I think that within the context of Barbados, that persons could, continue to employ those non-pharmaceutical interventions, such as washing of hands and the wearing of masks in certain high-risk situations. If you're in a closed environment, then still continue to practice your mask wearing if you're not comfortable, because it's not illegal to wear your mask, so you can continue to do that. And I think that we should be relatively okay.
The response when it first started a few years ago was shut down, stop all travel, vaccinate. Are those, you're saying to me, still the methods to be taken, or are you cautioning on how we respond this time around?
No, I don't think that you will see the level of lockdowns that you would have seen before, Pearson. Granted, the epidemic or the pandemic at that stage was very new. We had no vaccines available. So there were very few options at that point in time to stem the spread of the disease. But at this point in time, no. As I said, it's now become more endemic, which means that it is something that will continue to be circulating. The level of immunity within the population, people have been exposed to this virus, or at least some form of it, even though new variants will emerge from time to time. That is just a natural evolution history of viruses. They will continue to evolve, they will continue to change. But I think the tried and true forms of protection in terms of personal hygiene, hand washing, also wearing of masks in certain situations will apply to any respiratory disease, be it respiratory syncytial virus, RSV, that we've been hearing about, and also influenza as well, which has also been in the USA and also in Europe at a higher level than what they've been witnessing before.
So the response to this is personal responsibility for one's own health security. Dr. Kirk Douglas, thank you so much for joining us on the Morning Report. Thank you.
Thank you too. Have a good
Coming
day.
up, likewise, coming up, an update on the Arctic freeze in the US and a maternity ward struck as elevated attacks continue in Ukraine.
While you go about your business, we go about our business, and that is gathering the news. Stay up to date at CBC News Barbados on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. Get news update on radio throughout the day. And join us for the CBC Newsnight at 7 every night. CBC News team is on the job and bringing you the news.
There is a saying, you can find a Bajan anywhere. Are you a Bajan living abroad? Or do you know of one who has migrated to another country? Well, we at Mornin Barbados would love to have you or them on our Bajan Afar segment. Share your amazing stories, experiences, and how you have...
The after effects from the so-called blizzard of the century in the United States included flooding in the west, while the cleanup process in the badly hit Buffalo area in the east is still underway, with the military in place to enforce a travel ban.
California, Oregon and Washington State have all been affected so far. The weather system is called an atmospheric river and has been caused by the winter storm. Heavy rainfall has already caused a creek to burst its bank in Salinas in California, and so-called king tide and heavy rainfall has triggered flooding in Seattle. The National Weather Service has issued a warning for high winds. But there is some respite from the winter weather for the US East Coast as temperatures there begin to rise. National Guard members have been brought in to help clear the snow in the worst hit city Buffalo in upstate New York. They've also been going door to door to check on residents. 140 centimetres of snow fell in Buffalo in what people are calling the blizzard of the century. The storm, driven by an Arctic blast, killed more than 60 people in the US, most of them in New York State. Well, NBC News reporter Jesse Kirsch has more now from Buffalo.
Here in Buffalo, you can see some of the streets still covered in varying degrees of snow. Others appear to be in better shape, but at this point, the city is still under a travel ban, with officials warning that there are military police who will be out enforcing this ban on people who are getting in the way of much needed cleanup. You can see that we've got some melting going on here right now. Temperatures will jump to the 50s on Friday. There's also rain on the way, which means we'll see a rapid melt, raising the possibility of concerns over flooding heading into the holiday weekend as we brace for the possibility of the death toll here climbing yet again.
Russia has called for peace even as it executes its war in Ukraine for a 44th week. Moscow has rejected Ukraine's peace terms and threatened a worse military fate if it does not accept Russia's terms instead. In the meantime, Russia is continuing its shelling of Ukraine, with a maternity ward being struck.
Kyiv says dozens of missiles were launched in the past 24 hours, some hitting a hospital maternity ward. Officials say staff were able to evacuate and no one was hurt. Ukraine's military has also resumed its counter-offensive in the eastern region of Luhansk. Two large cities there are still under Russian control. Charles Stratford has more from Kyiv.
The governor of Kherson region says the city and the surrounding area has come under more heavy shelling today by Russian forces, the majority of which it's believed have been targeting the area from across the river. We know that Kherson city was liberated by the Ukrainians last month. The governor saying that infrastructure hit includes a maternity ward, a medical facility, a kindergarten, and a bread factory. No reports, miraculously, of any casualties. We do know that the city had a population of around 70,000 people, many of whom had returned since the liberation of Kherson. And we understand that many are fleeing back out of the city as this shelling continues. Also, interestingly, more reports of what seems to be the beginnings of a Ukrainian push around the town of Kreminna. Now, Kreminna is occupied by Russian forces very close to the Lugansk-Donetsk borders. It's an area that had pretty much seen stalemate since a new front line was established there following a Ukrainian counter-offensive 2.5 months ago. This area very strategically important. Now, we've been speaking to the advisor to the president's office, Mikhail Podolyak, and this is what he had to say about the situation in Kherson and around Kreminna.
Почнемо з останнього. Ми не бачимо сьогодні.
We don't see any intensive preparation for a Russian counteroffensive towards Kherson. and Russia doesn't have the necessary military resources in order to do that from the south. The Russians are aiming to make Kherson a dead city, to completely destroy all civilian infrastructure in the center of the city and in residential areas. Kreminna is highly important strategically and logistically because its location near the Donetsk-Luhansk borders, and it is currently a logistical hub for the Russians. But the army is actively pushing towards Kreminna. The question about the timing of an assault is one for the general command, but it's obvious we will take Kreminna because it's vital for our future counteroffensive.
Meanwhile, Ukraine's national electricity provider says more shelling of electricity facilities in the east of the country has meant that there is now a further deficit of electricity countrywide. That comes, of course, in the wake of these devastating so-called kamikaze drone and cruise missile attacks that have been targeting Ukraine's energy infrastructure. Already, it's understood that there are still millions of Ukrainians across the country without electricity or heat.
Well, coming up at 6:30 when you join me for Morning Barbados, a masterclass in public speaking. What's that about? We'll get to meet the man behind it. He's an experienced regional broadcaster. He'll tell us how we can all benefit from those classes and how we can be a part of it indeed. And as the new year approaches, many of us are still walking with our emotional baggage. Our life and relationship coach will share with us some techniques to shed the load and get ready for all of the new experiences in the new year. So look out for that as well. But with everything that's happening around us, you hear what's happening now in China and Japan with the surge again in COVID-19. Many people feel as though their faith has been rocked. So how do we make our faith strong again in 2023? Bishop Marlon Husbands will join me to talk more about that and to share with us how we can set our foot on solid ground. Those and a whole lot more straight ahead at 6:30 when you join me for Morning Barbados. We'll take a break here, but coming up after the break, business expected to be booming for Bridgetown stores ahead of Old Year's Night.
The CBC That Made Us, featuring programming from yesteryear, which impacted the lives of many Barbadians. Join me, Sean Green, taking you back to some of your favorite shows from the late 70s, 80s, and 90s during the series The CBC That Made Us, every Thursday at 8:30 p.m. and repeated on Fridays 11:30 a.m. The CBC That Made Us.
Enjoy movies, soaps, drama, comedy, inspiration, education, music, and more. You get it all when you get MCTV, because MCTV gives you more.
Some ask, what makes Barbados so special? We at Mornin Barbados say it's you, our exceptional youth. You are talented, resilient, and inspirational. You are the epitome of the Barbadian spirit, testing the boundaries of your creativity. If you are an entrepreneur, artist, baker, designer, author, or have done anything you think should be highlighted, email us at morninbarbados@cbc.bb. Let us show the world our exceptional Bajan youth.
Books open your heart, your mind, and your soul. They are educational, entertaining, inspiring, and motivating. Are you an author of a recent
Business owners in Barbados and in Bridgetown are expecting another influx of shoppers as Old Year Night approaches. Sharika Griffith reports.
After 2 difficult years due to COVID-19, city businesses are welcoming the return of bumper crowds shopping for the Christmas season.
We're very grateful that the country is open and, people were in a mood, a shopping mood. It did start a bit late, but we are still grateful because remember, when you compare it with the last 2-3 years, thank you, God.
Bridgetown duty free on the VAT free day. All of our stores, we actually saw great sales, influx of customers from the opening, 8:30, 9 o'clock some stores, and from there on straight into Christmas, it was a hyper activity in store.
And as stores reopen after 3 consecutive days for the Christmas and Boxing Day holidays, they're now turning their attention to the next big celebration, Old Year's Night. Once again, they're gearing up for more busy days as people prepare to ring in the new year in style.
After 3 days at home, today again is a hive activity on our ground floor mainly, and we're just looking forward to our menswear, ladies' fashions, and our shoes department now to see the influx of customers stepping into the new year.
As you can see around our store, if you look, turn the camera, everywhere is kind of bright. We're ready for the folks. We just finished changing all our mannequins to black and white, which is the traditional color, the shiny, silver, glittery stuff for the ladies. The women are coming in already this morning. They're going to bring their boyfriends to get the money out to them. So, as usual, you're going to be the last 2 days, going to be the big rush.
No outfit is complete without the right pair of shoes, and owner of Soul Addiction, Nancy Nume, was busy assisting customers.
The island is opened up. I think we're getting back to normal. People want to go out. They want to be with their families and so on. So, yeah, we're having a lot of traffic in the store. And for all years now, I do expect it to be really busy as well. A lot of men's dress shoes. People are into sneakers too. I mean, people are wearing sneakers with like dresses, casual clothing and stuff. So, yeah, sneakers too, but mostly dress shoes for men. Dress shoes for women. My shipment for the women's shoes is a little delayed, but I should get it out by tomorrow or today. So,
as New Year's Day falls on a Sunday, the bank holiday will be observed on Monday, giving people more time to celebrate. Sharika Griffith, CBC News.
Sharika, thank you. One of Barbados' cultural ambassadors has described the death of accomplished five-time Trinidadian calypso monarch Dr. Leroy Black Stalin Caliste as tragic and a great loss to the regional calypso fraternity. That's the sentiment of Dr. the Most Honorable Anthony Gabby Carter, a long-standing friend of Stalin, as he reflected on the interaction he had with the calypso giant. Stalin passed away yesterday at the age of 81 at his home in San Fernando. Gabby says Stalin used his skills as an artist to highlight the plight of the poor and disadvantaged. He says many will remember Stalin for his strong social commentary. However, for him, Stalin was deeply philosophical and understood black history well. Gabby says Stalin was also a kind and loving humanitarian.
He had songs, man, that told our stories, man. He was a giant. He wasn't just an ordinary calypso or very good. He was amongst the very, very best. And then to add to that, he was a soul, a real sweet person. I tell you, if I in Trinidad and Stalin know, he would drive from San Fernando to Port of Spain to get me. Right? That's the kind of person he's talking about.
The Venezuela economy is seeing moderate recovery after years of a deep recession. However, half of the population still lives in poverty.
Adriana Garcia opened her natural cosmetic shop 4 months ago in Caracas, betting on Venezuela's moderate economic recovery. And despite many hurdles, she says things have gone well so far.
It's an economy in revision that's just starting to grow again. There is a feeling of normality for commerce, and many shopping centres have started operating again.
The government's decision to relax price controls and allow trading in US dollars has given some businesses and President Nicolás Maduro a second wind in a country where real gross domestic product has shrunk by almost 80% in a decade. Dollars are everywhere these days. Prices in stores, restaurants, and even food carts are listed in dollars. This has partly stabilized prices and brought a veneer of better economic times. Together with more favorable international geopolitics, this has allowed Maduro to venture outside the country, shaking hands with leaders who were trying to oust him until a few months ago and confounding opponents. Juan Guaidó, the man the United States and other democracies recognize as legitimate president, after calling Maduro's 2018 re-election a sham, spends most of his days in a Spartan office. Photos on the wall show him at the height of his efforts to topple Maduro, and although opposition parties are now seeking to end his mandate, he remains undeterred.
We need to bring this to a presidential election, and we need to strengthen the opposition to facilitate talks in Mexico. But let me be clear, it's not because the opposition is divided that Maduro keeps the power. He keeps usurping power because this is a dictatorship.
Well, 2022 has seen a series of extreme weather incidents all over the world. We have a review of the most major ones.
The year 2022 will be remembered for the numerous extreme weather events that caused destruction, mass displacement and killed thousands of people. At the beginning of the year, tropical storms swept across southern Africa, with a cyclone battering Madagascar and devastating flooding in South Africa. A severe heat wave in parts of South Asia gave India its warmest March on record, while in neighbouring Pakistan, the city of Jacobabad was the hottest place on the planet at one point. The extreme heat scorched several countries. France baked in May, and the UK declared its first nationwide heat emergency in July, when temperatures hit 40 degrees Celsius. Wildfires spread across Europe and North Africa, around 4 times as many as the historical average, along with some of the driest conditions ever recorded. Drought-enhanced flooding in Kentucky in July, while unseasonal rain flooded the streets of Doha. The warmer weather caused glaciers to melt in South Asia, raising river levels, which led to the worst floods in more than 100 years in parts of northeastern India and Bangladesh. In Pakistan, 3 times the average rainfall fell in August, leaving 1/3 of the country submerged. Scientists called it the climate catastrophe of the decade. China experienced its longest heat wave since official record-keeping began. The Yangtze River shrank to its lowest level in more than 155 years. In contrast, South Korea's capital was lashed by the heaviest rains in more than a century during August. September blew in one of the most powerful storms Japan had ever seen, and the Philippines will never forget the force of Typhoon Noru, which escalated from a Category 1 storm to a Category 5 in just 6 hours. Across the Pacific, Hurricane Ian pummeled Florida. At least 114 people died, more than in any hurricane since Katrina. Drought-battered California sweltered in September as Death Valley recorded the Earth's hottest day, with the mercury hitting 53 degrees Celsius. In Africa, Nigeria saw the worst floods in more than a decade. And by the end of the year, Southeast Australia was in the midst of its 4th major flooding event, with Sydney having its wettest year on record. The World Meteorological Organization says the telltale signs and impacts of climate change are becoming more dramatic, and with greenhouse gases continuing to rise after reaching record levels last year, the frequency and force of severe weather events are expected to be even more extreme in the future.
In sports now, the International Cricket Council has announced the upcoming programme for their 2022 awards. They will comprise a total of 13 categories, with awards honouring individuals who shone in specific formats and also across multiple formats in the overall categories. Shortlists for 9 of the 13 categories will be revealed over the next 2 days on official ICC channels. Now, yesterday, they revealed the emerging men's and women's cricketers of the year, with no player from the Windies on any of those lists. Today sees nominees announced for the men's and women's ODI cricketers of the year and the men's and women's T20 cricketers of the year. Tomorrow, we'll see the final shortlists revealed: the ICC Men's Test Cricketer of the Year, the Sir Garfield Sobers Trophy for the ICC Men's Cricketer of the Year, and the Rachel Flint Trophy for the ICC Women's Cricketer of the Year. Voting in the ICC Awards 22 will then commence in early January next year, where the ICC Voting Academy will submit their selections alongside global cricket fans, who will once again be encouraged to vote on the website icc-cricket.com for the winners. Results of the Voting Academy selections and the fans' votes will be combined to determine the winners in each of those 9 categories. Let's take a look at forecast conditions now, as recorded earlier at the Met Office of the Grantley Adams International Airport. At the moment, 24.8 degrees Celsius, nice and cool. Partly cloudy skies with a slight haze, and the winds are coming from the east at 30 kilometers an hour. Expect a low tide at 2 minutes after 3 this afternoon, or first high tide at 5 minutes to 9 this morning, the second at 2 minutes after 9 tonight. Seas today, moderate to rough in open water, swells ranging from 3 down to 2.5 meters and decreasing. Small craft operators and sea bathers still exercise caution. In the forecast for Barbados today, sunny with cloudy periods with the occasional brief scattered light to moderate shower. While for tonight, the forecast clear to cloudy periods with the occasional brief scattered light to moderate shower. And now we'll look at some forecast conditions for some international cities. And that's it for the CBC Morning Report. I'm Pearson Bowen. Morning Barbados starts now.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Barbados, get up. Good morning. Good morning, Barbados. Good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, Barbados. Good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, Barbados. Good morning. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Morning to you.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to today. It's Thursday, the 29th of December, 2022. I'm Pearson Bowen. I'm welcoming all of you everywhere. Thank you so much for joining us on our streams on YouTube and Facebook. Always wonderful to hear from you as you interact there in that space among yourselves, but also with us. Thank you so very much indeed for that. Now, today we will also be introducing you to the Barbadian opera singer Chantal Martin. She'll join us today as she prepares for the first episode of The Chantal Show. We will share with you when she meets with us a little bit about who you can expect to be dazzling and delighting you musically and a whole lot more. So look out for that. Also today, did you know that your skin is your largest organ? So what are you doing to present your largest organ in the best way possible? How are you caring for it? Our esthetician will come by, a celebrity esthetician as a matter of fact, will join me right here on the couch. And we talk a little bit more about how we get our skin better for presentation. Look out for that. The CBC that made us as we get ready to mark our 60th anniversary, that's a program series produced by Sean Green on TV. It's already triggering quite a lot of chatter among you. And so he joins me this morning as we look ahead at the next episode and the things that will help to excite us about who we've been and who we'll continue to be at the CBC. A new year dawns, and so with all that's been happening in the past year, a lot has really shaken your resolve, hasn't it? And how now do you keep your faith strong as you get ready to enter a new year? Bishop Marlon Husbands has some tips that he'll share with us in just a moment. We'll also be meeting with our life and relationship coach as she tells us how we can shake off that emotional baggage and get ourselves ready to receive even more blessings indeed. So how do we do so? Stand by for those tips and techniques. But I want to get started this morning by introducing you to a young man who is now 27 years in the business, still quite young, but really quite good at what he does. He's an experienced Grenadian broadcaster, producer, executive producer, and a whole lot more, just an all-around good guy. And he's starting a series of master classes in public speaking. His name is Kenroy Batiste. He joins me now. Kenroy, good morning to you.
Good morning to you, Pearson. Good morning, Barbados.
Indeed, thank you so much. I hope I've said and introduced you correctly. 27 years in the business, that's been a long time, my friend. Over a quarter of a century.
Yes, indeed. The journey started for me in 1995. You know, in radio, in television, it's been quite a journey. Phenomenal. So much learning, so much development, so much enjoyment during that period.
What would you say has been, for you, one of those signal moments that you would never forget?
Goodness gracious. The thing about it is, Pearson, my involvement in radio and television broadcasting has taken me from just radio production to TV production, and then more specifically involved in news production. Yeah. So news production has been the hallmark, I have to say, of my broadcasting career. I've been involved in news production since 1999. Yeah. Specifically, of course, news presenting the national news on the Grenada Broadcasting Network. So that, to me, is the hallmark of my broadcasting career. But of course, in between, I've done a lot of executive producing, hosting. I even host my own radio show at the moment on K105 FM, which is a division of the Grenada Broadcasting Network. So it's been quite a bit. If I perhaps get a specific question, I can zero in on that for you. But it's been quite a bit, quite extraordinary, I have to say. And I'm very humbled, very moved, very grateful for all the opportunities I've had in broadcasting.
And those opportunities have caused you to evolve in the many ways in which you have. You've done your adventure Grenada 473. You've done a whole series of things. But now you're engaging in a series of master classes in public speaking. Why there and why now?
Yes, because I believe people need to develop their capacity for public speaking. And not just Grenadians, but also people across the Caribbean and in the diaspora. I think it's too good of a thing to keep it to the Grenada context. And so I've since rolled it out relative to Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique, my homeland, but it's now been extended to people across the Caribbean, those wanting to develop capacity for public speaking. And the thing about it is, Pearson Bowen, not just people in public relations, marketing, you know, these sort of in-front kind of professions, but also people, the athlete, the swimmer, you understand? Just about anybody wanting to develop his or her capacity for public speaking, quite welcome. So the time is now to do it. And I have to say here and now that you can come as you are. You can come as you are. People have been asking me, do I have to be a certain level to join the masterclass in public speaking? And the answer is no. You come as you are, and you will receive the necessary support to develop your capacity for public speaking. So the time is now.
Break down for me then what the class is like so that we can get a sense of it's a 3-month course, and give me a sense of what you're going to be tackling in those 3 months.
Yes. So relative to the main forms of public speaking, you're talking informative public speaking, ceremonial public speaking. Ceremonial public speaking is extremely broad, right? Wedding receptions, a lot of things, opening and closing ceremonies, sword-turning ceremonies, anything to do with a ceremony that will involve, of course, public speaking. So there's informative public speaking. I'll be touching on that. And I've since started the process, quite literally with the participants. There's ceremonial public speaking. There's also demonstrative / explanatory public speaking. This is very critical, especially people perhaps in marketing, people in public relations, and other professions, of course. They use this quite extensively. There's also persuasive public speaking. Again, people in marketing, people in public relations, and other people. Yeah. Persuasive public speaking is an item. Yeah, perhaps you are an inspirational speaker just the same, and you want to tap into that sort of public speaking. So these are the 4 main forms of public speaking I literally teach. In addition to these 4 forms of public speaking, I also focus on speech writing, developing speech writing skills. And that is extremely critical because you want to have a good speech and you want to be able to deliver it well. Yeah? So they go hand in hand. You can have a good speech, but if you don't deliver it well, then you have literally defeated the purpose of the speech. Yeah? So there you go for now.
And you know, at the base of all of this is one's confidence. You know, you could be as good at writing as ever, but then you can't speak so well. For whatever reason, you're daunted by the people and the eyes that you see coming back at you. And so your class helps to help one manages one's resolve so that when you stand before others, whether it's a camera or human beings, then you're able to deliver in such a way that it's convincing and you're competent. And so given that you're now extending this across the region, I can't travel to Grenada, so how am I going to join the masterclass?
Yes, and that's a brilliant question. Zoom, via Zoom. For those outside of Grenada, whether you're in the Caribbean island, you're in the diaspora, Zoom is for you. And of course, the pandemic has literally brought Zoom to the fore. I mean, people are literally using it, but you know, it's become more pronounced, since the pandemic. So Zoom. Those outside of Grenada, Zoom is for you. And that's, of course, you can join the masterclass. You asked about confidence, and that's very critical, Pearson, because, in fact, the slogan for the masterclass is awaken your vocal presence, speak with confidence anywhere. You see? And so confidence is a big part of public speaking. Yes? If you do not cement yourself relative to confidence, you can literally fall through. Yeah. Relative to your presentation. So confidence is key. And one of the things I teach people relative to developing confidence is the need for you to be your authentic self. Be you. You are an original. You're not a carbon copy. The world wants to know who you are. So be your fabulous self. And once you start to be who you are, of course with responsibility and self-control, automatically, one of the ways, of course, you can lose confidence because you feel free. You don't feel pressure to speak. You just be your authentic self. And you light up rooms. And you connect to audiences. And it's a beautiful thing, you know. It's a beautiful person.
You're absolutely right. And so the classes will... When is the next cohort, by the way? When does the next series of classes start?
Right. So February 2023, because the current one, of course, will go until the 21st of January next year. Right? Mind you, it should have ended on the 7th, but I had to minus Christmas Eve and Old Year's, you know, no masterclass on these days, of course.
Yes.
Let people enjoy themselves. But of course, the days have since been added to the new year, hence the 21st of January classes, of course, will end. And the new cohort will literally begin in February. February, I believe the first Saturday, because it's a weekly masterclass, huh?
Right.
It's weekly. So it's going to be February 2023. Registration is going to get underway in January, the first week in January, of course. I will let individuals know by way of social media. And people can always, of course, reach out to me on WhatsApp, you know, for more information and to register, 473-403-0288.
Right. So if we want to register online, you said we can watch you on social, follow you on social media just to see when registration will begin. Registration, I suppose, will be online, but the classes will also be conducted via Zoom. I can't imagine, are you limiting it to the number of people? Is there a limitation on the number of spaces in a class at any given time?
Right. Well, I do a maximum of 100.
Okay.
Mind you, I have, apart from the Zoom version, there's also the in-person version. So when I say a maximum of 100, that number has to be divided between the in-person version and the online version via Zoom. So you're talking 50-50. So 50 for Zoom, quite literally. Yeah?
So
yes. But it's ongoing.
So in other words, it's a limited number of spaces, folks, that you can get yourself into. It's a very limited number. And so the sooner you register, the sooner you can benefit from the expertise of Kenroy Batiste. They're one of Grenada's absolute best, one of the Caribbean's best indeed. And so for those of you who are feeling that you need to be building your confidence to speak in public, to write for speeches that are to be delivered in public, all of those kinds of things, that's the man, Kenroy Batiste indeed. And so give us your social media handle so that we can stand by to see when you open up for registration.
Yes. So you can check me out on Kenroy Batiste Spirit of Excellence. That's my page on social media. Yes, it's a very active page. I'm there all the time because I love Facebook. Forgive me. But yeah, listen, Facebook, social media platforms are good. You just have to use these platforms well, positively. Yes, so I listen, I'm a social media fan. So Facebook, I'm there, quite literally. I'm also on the other platforms, but if you really want to connect with me, feel free to touch base with me via Facebook, right? So Kenroy Batiste, Spirit of Excellence, that's the Facebook page, and we can take it from there. Also on WhatsApp, of course, 473-403-0288. That's the number. Looking forward to connect with you.
There you go. And on that point, I have to say thank you, Kenroy, for joining us this morning, for sharing with us the outline to the series of masterclasses in public speaking. And I want to encourage as many Barbadians as possible, and anyone else from anywhere in the world who's watching as well, grab this opportunity. There are only 50 spaces available for you online, 50 spaces for you in person. And so limited, you have to move very, very fast. Like Pay attention to Ken Roy's social media, Ken Roy Batiste Spirit of Excellence on Facebook, and see when registration opens up and get in there fast, in other words. Ken Roy, thank you, all the best indeed for 2023 and beyond.
Thank you, and Pearson, just before I go, I love Mornin Barbados. You have a great show there. Congrats to the team. I tune in from time to time. Great content, great hosting. Stay wonderful.
Bless your heart.
Barbados.
My production crew is applauding you with thanks. Thank you very much indeed for mentioning that. All the best, Ken Roy. All the best.
Thank you, sir. All the best, Barbados. Bye-bye.
You're welcome. Ken Roy Batiste from Grenada. He's conducting a series of masterclasses in public speaking and looking forward to being able to share with you from his experience as well. And you can benefit in a very significant way. Remember to follow him on Facebook, Ken Roy Batiste Spirit of Excellence, and get to know when the next series of classes start and when registration opens and how you can be a part of it. We're taking a break right here. We're coming back with more in just a moment.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
It's 13 minutes now to go to the hour of 7 o'clock. There's a line of a song that asks, what are you doing New Year's Eve? How many of you are checking your emotional baggage at the door? Well, that's what we want to look at now as we turn our attention to switching up to a new year. And Dr. Denise Charles, who's a life and relationship coach, joins us now. She has a lot of experience in this area. Good morning to you, Dr. Charles.
Good morning, Pearson. How are you doing?
I'm well. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thanks. I had a great Christmas. I'm still enjoying the season. I hope that you are as well.
You know, something you read my mind. I was just going to go there. I would look at your face. I said, she had a good Christmas. She definitely had a good Christmas. But knowing you know how to live life. You know how to check your emotions and put them in place so that you can still enjoy life. And a lot of people today are struggling with that as they get ready for the new year. So they've had experiences over these last 12 months that have left them jaded, whether it's the pandemic, whether it is loss of a job, the transitioning of a loved one, all of those kinds of things. And so we come to the end of December and we feel heavy and burdened by all of these experiences. How do I feel positive about a new year?
I think, Pearson, one of the first things we have to do is to be what I call be self-compassionate. We have to give ourselves a break. We have to understand that we are human, we are fallible human beings, we have flaws, we have challenges, and this is all a part of life. And we have to embrace that life is not perfect. Life is not a cookie cutter thing. You know, life is diverse, it's dynamic. And while we do go through these stressors that you've mentioned just now, we have to see these as incidents or experiences that are there to mold us and shape us and develop us into better people. That's how we have to frame them. So I think when we are at that juncture where we're looking into a new year and thinking about how we can perhaps position ourselves to benefit best from moving into a new space or a new season, as it were, I think we have to start at that point of reflection. We have to look inward. We have to perhaps ruminate over some of the things that we have experienced over the past year, both the good and the bad. Don't only dwell on the bad, although sometimes we tend to do that. Yes. You know, look at both the good and the bad. Look at our blessings. Look at the things that we were able to accomplish. Look at the things that we were able to do well, and applaud ourselves in those instances, but also have some compassion when we think of the things that we perhaps failed at or the things that we didn't do so well. Have some compassion. Don't be too hard on ourselves. I think that's where we need to begin.
You say that so well, but you know that you make it sound so easy. But for a lot of people, it's very difficult to be able to look at their failures, look at some of the things that they wished they had done. They look at other people and see what other people have been able to achieve as well, and they begin to condition themselves as a consequence.
To compare.
They compare and they define themselves within that comparison. And you're saying to me, face it and deal with it. In other words,
that's
cry
right.
a little if I have to cry a little.
Pearson, if I can be a little bit transparent, there was a time in my life where I was in a job situation and I was hoping that this job situation, which I loved at the time, would have, morphed into something permanent, and it didn't. And I had to go back to my previous job, and I felt a little depressed at that because that's not where I saw myself professionally. And I talk about this in my book, my last book. But what happened is that over a period of time, I recognized that that was all a part of God's plan. Because had I stayed in that job, I would not have been in a position to grasp several opportunities which came later, which included moving into my writing, moving into my life coaching, moving into dealing with relationships, and so on. So sometimes we think that a thing that happens is bad, and we only see it we frame it in a negative way. But if we just give it some time and we allow ourselves to trust God and trust the process that life often is and that life is, then we will perhaps see the benefit. We will see how that thing that seemed so negative was really there to position us differently, or to build us up, or to strengthen us, or to just give us a wider perspective on life. So we have to be able to see that life is filled with dynamic differences, and that we just need to embrace them all, even though it's painful.
Yes.
I'm not saying that it's going to be easy, as you rightfully said. When you're in the moment, you don't feel that way.
Nope.
You feel like throwing a tantrum, you feel upset. Sometimes you get angry with yourself, you get angry with other people. Sometimes you even get angry because you've made a decision and you second guess yourself. Did I make the right choice in this particular space? But just give it some time, allow it to settle, and you will eventually see how this thing can benefit you if you embrace it within that framework.
You've just used the word time that I wanted to come to, because time is a factor of all of this. But then you sometimes you want to rush the process, and sometimes you can get it wrong. Even when you're baking, you know full well you can't just take the cake up before it's finished.
I know.
You end up with a disaster. So with all of this, as you're preparing yourself for the next iteration of life in 2023, and you're baking what that ought to be, give the factor of time. I want you to talk to me a little bit about the factor of time in all of this healing and getting ready for the change.
There's something that I've written called Ready, Set, Wait. And, sometimes we, as you rightfully said, we like to rush the process. We like things to happen instantaneously, and we're living in that type of society. We have instant coffee, we're able to just swipe our screen, just touch a button, and we get access to so much information instantly. And perhaps we have been trained to want life instant on that instant trend. But that's not how life works, and that's not how things work. That's not how value is built. Value is built on time. Value is built on going through the journey, walking through the process, whether it's in terms of a relationship, whether it's in terms of your own development as a professional, perhaps some studying that you need to do, something that you want to invest in to see your money grow, things that are of quality. Even when it comes to raising your own children, everything takes time. And we know that there's a time to plant and there's a time to reap. So if we take that and we put that into our own lives, and we see, we wait to see how life will work itself out for us, and we have that framework, we have that perspective on life, then I think we rid ourselves of a lot of the anxiety that we can feel when things don't immediately fall into place as we would want them to. If I could just give you a little snippet here.
Sure.
My husband and I are currently writing our love story. We're currently writing our love story, and we hope to have it out next year.
Yes.
And of course, I'll be back to talk to you about that.
Thank you.
But it's called Journey to One. And even when we think of two individuals coming together in a marriage and we hear the two shall be one, we immediately think that that oneness is automatic and that it happens on the wedding day, when really and truly it's a journey towards oneness. So life is a journey. All of our various circumstances involve the whole idea of journeying. And we just have to relax, enjoy the ride, take the bumps when they come. We may fall into some potholes along the way. You know, the tire may come off and we may need to change a tire. We may need to retire, you know, and so on. We may need to change the oil and clean that windscreen and so on. And even as I use the image of a vehicle, is that we have to become intimately actively involved in how life happens to us. Don't just sit back and allow it to happen on automatic pilot. Get up off of your behind, you know, go after that goal, go after that dream that you want, go after the type of relationship that you want. Don't settle for what you currently have and think, I have to just take this. I just have to take this abuse. I just have to take this serial infidelity. I just have to take my close friends or my work colleagues taking advantage of me. No, I can let them know. I can rise up and I can be assertive. I can be kind, but I can still be assertive and claim my space and command respect in my various spaces. And these are things that we have to exercise personal agency and not just allow life to happen to us. You know, and very often, sometimes in our society, we are fed this idea of just being passive and just being quiet, just allowing things to happen. You know, that is life, and we settle for that. But that's not what we should be about. And as we move into a new year, that is an excellent energy to fuel us into those things that we want to achieve and accomplish in 2023.
Sister, I hear you. I receive you indeed. And you're so very right on that score. If you're not intentional, nothing happens. You just drift. You're just drifting.
That's right.
And so if you want to see the change that you want to see, then you have to get up and get going, put the things in place to be able to do so. But none of us likes to face our own vulnerabilities. None of us likes to do that. But it's a factor of how we get better and how we become stronger. And so I want you to also speak to folks this morning about that, how you redefine your level of vulnerability and realize it's not always a weakness. It can actually be a strength.
Yeah, you know, I like to bring my personal experiences to discussions all the time. When my husband and I reached 30 years of marriage, we decided to renew our vows. And we went to our friend and former pastor, Elysius Joseph, and we spoke to him about wanting him to do the ceremony. And one of the things he asked us was, why do you want to renew your vows? And what we said to him was, we wanted to redefine our marriage. We wanted to recreate our relationship. We wanted to move it to a next level. But that involved being transparent. That involved being vulnerable with each other. So when we wrote our vows, we spoke directly to our challenges. We didn't hide them. We didn't mask them. And people who came and sat at that ceremony, they were moved to tears because not only did they sense our love, but they sensed the authenticity that we were bringing to the ceremony. We weren't just reciting things that other people wrote. We were talking about our lives. We were sharing from our deep spaces of hurt, or need to forgive each other, or need to begin again. And this is where the rubber meets the road. When it comes to moving from one space to the next, Pearson, I thrive on being authentic. I mean, it is a place I have come to over a period of time. I was not always here, because I can tell you there are times when I was much younger, when it hurt me, where I kept quiet and kept silent about a lot of the things that troubled me, including my childhood and my troubled childhood, and the fact that I came from a broken home and that it hurt me so much. And I kept quiet about a lot of these things. People didn't know that I was navigating a lot of those things. But after I experienced healing, and I experienced healing, yes, through my relationship with God, through pursuing knowledge, through reading a lot, reading lots of valuable books, through being counseled professionally. I was helped, and I came to a space where I could talk about these things. I could be vulnerable. I could be transparent, and it really reflects tremendous growth in my own spirit. And this is something that I therefore like to channel to other people. And that's why I'm involved in what I do. That's why I love to help other people, because I am coming from a space of experience. I'm not just talking to you. Yes, I have done training in psychology, I've done training in counseling, but when I speak from my experiences as well, because I want to bring that level of authenticity to what I'm saying to you. I am walking the road. I am not just talking, I am going through as well. So
Yes.
I can be empathetic and help you to navigate that space as well.
What excellent advice you've given to us this morning, Dr. Denise Charles. I wish I had more time to continue talking, but we shall have more opportunities. You got that right. In this journey to oneness, I can't wait to hear what else you have to share where that's concerned,
No problem.
and a whole lot more. But thank you so much for joining us this morning. I hope that many people can have benefited from all that you've been able to share as to how we can really shake off a lot of the heavy emotional baggage or begin to redistribute that weight in some way that we can bit by bit drop it off and get forward to really achieving the best self we could possibly be. I thank you. I wish you best for 2023, and I look forward to hearing more from
Thank you, Pearson.
in next year. You're welcome.
Blessings to you and your family and to the CBC family. Thank you so much.
We receive it. Thank you so much. Dr. Denise Charles. We'll take a break right here. We're coming back with more in just a moment.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
The CBC That Made Us, featuring programming from yesteryear, which impacted the lives of many Barbadians. Join me, Sean Green, taking you back to some of your favorite shows from the late 70s, 80s, and 90s during the series The CBC That Made Us, every Thursday at 8:30 p.m. and repeated on Fridays, 11:30 a.m. The CBC That Made Us.
Enjoy movies, soaps, drama, comedy, inspiration, education, music, and more. You get it all when you get MCTV, because MCTV gives you more.
Some ask, what makes Barbados so special? We at Mornin Barbados say it's you, our exceptional youth. You are talented, resilient, and inspirational. You are the epitome of the Barbadian spirit, testing the boundaries of your creativity. If you are an entrepreneur, artist, baker, designer, author, or have done anything you think should be highlighted, email us at morninbarbados@cbc.bb. Let us show the world our exceptional Bajan youth.
Books open your heart, your mind, and your soul. They are educational, entertaining, inspiring, and motivating. Are you an author of a recent book you want to share? Then Mornin Barbados would love to feature your book in our The Next Chapter segment. Send us an email to morninbarbados@cbc.bb. That's morning without the G. Come and let us turn those pages together.
Think before you click, Bajan. Think before you click. Don't forget now, before you spread wrong. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Town are expecting another influx of shoppers as Old Year's Night approaches. Sharika Griffith reports.
After 2 difficult years due to COVID-19, city businesses are welcoming the return of bumper crowds shopping for the Christmas season.
We're very grateful that the country is open and, people were in a mood, a shopping mood. It did start a bit late, but we are still grateful because remember, when you compare it with the last 2-3 years, thank you, God.
Bridgetown duty free on the VAT free day. All of our stores, we actually saw great sales, influx of customers from the opening, 8:30, 9 o'clock some stores, and from there on straight into Christmas, it was a hyper activity in store.
And as stores reopen after 3 consecutive days for the Christmas and Boxing Day holidays, they're now turning their attention to the next big celebration, Old Year's Night. Once again, they're gearing up for more busy days as people prepare to ring in the new year in style.
After 3 days at home, today again is a hyper activity on our ground floor mainly, and we're just looking forward to our menswear, ladies fashions, and our shoes department now to see the influx of customers stepping into the new year.
As you can see around our store, if you turn the camera, everywhere is kind of bright. We're ready for the folks. We just finished changing all our mannequins to black and white, which is the traditional color, the shiny, silver, glittery stuff for the ladies. Women are coming in already this morning. They're going to bring their boyfriends to get the money out to them. So as usual, you're going to be the last 2 days, going to be the big rush.
No outfit is complete without the right pair of shoes, and owner of Soul Addiction, Nancy Nume, was busy assisting customers.
The island is opened up. I think we're getting back to normal. People want to go out. They want to be with their families and so on. So, yeah, we're having a lot of traffic in the store. And for Old Year's Night, I do expect it to be really busy as well. A lot of men's dress shoes. People are into sneakers too. I mean, people are wearing sneakers with like dresses, casual clothing and stuff. So, yeah, sneakers too, but mostly dress shoes for men. Dress shoes for women. My shipment for the women's shoes is a little delayed, but I should get it out by tomorrow or today. So,
as New Year's Day falls on a Sunday, the bank holiday will be observed on Monday, giving people more time to celebrate. Sharika Griffith, CBC News.
Described the death of accomplished five-time Trinidadian calypso monarch Dr. Leroy Black Stalin Caliste as tragic and a great loss to the regional calypso fraternity. That's the sentiment of Dr. the Most Honorable Anthony Mighty Gabby Carter, a long-standing friend of Stalin, as he reflected on the interactions he's had with a calypso giant. Stalin passed away yesterday at the age of 81 at his home in San Fernando. Gabby says Stalin used his skills as an artist to highlight the plight of the poor and disadvantaged. He says many will remember Stalin for his strong social commentary. However, for him, Stalin was deeply philosophical and understood black history well. Gabby says Stalin was also a kind and loving humanitarian.
He had songs, man, that told our stories, man. He was a giant. He wasn't just an ordinary person or very good. He was amongst the very, very best. And then to add to that, he was a soul, a real sweet person. I can tell you, if I in Trinidad and Stalin know, he would drive from San Fernando to Port of Spain to get me. Right? That's the kind of person he's talking about.
Well, 2022 has seen a series of extreme weather incidents all over the world. We have a review of the most major ones.
The year 2022 will be remembered for the numerous extreme weather events that caused destruction, mass displacement and killed thousands of people. At the beginning of the year, tropical storms swept across southern Africa, with a cyclone battering Madagascar and devastating flooding in South Africa. A severe heat wave in parts of South Asia gave India its warmest March on record, while in neighbouring Pakistan, the city of Jacobiabad was the hottest place on the planet at one point. The extreme heat scorched several countries. France baked in May, and the UK declared its first nationwide heat emergency in July, when temperatures hit 40 degrees Celsius. Wildfires spread across Europe and North Africa, around 4 times as many as the historical average, along with some of the driest conditions ever recorded. Drought-enhanced flooding in Kentucky in July, while unseasonal rain flooded the streets of Doha. The warmer weather caused glaciers to melt in South Asia, raising river levels, which led to the worst floods in more than 100 years in parts of northeastern India and Bangladesh. In Pakistan, 3 times the average rainfall fell in August, leaving 1/3 of the country submerged. Scientists called it the climate catastrophe of the decade. China experienced its longest heat wave since official record-keeping began. The Yangtze River shrank to its lowest level in more than 155 years. In contrast, South Korea's capital was lashed by the heaviest rains in more than a century during August. September blew in one of the most powerful storms Japan had ever seen, and the Philippines will never forget the force of Typhoon Noru, which escalated from a Category 1 storm to a Category 5 in just 6 hours. Across the Pacific, Hurricane Ian pummeled Florida. At least 114 people died, more than in any hurricane since Katrina. Drought-battered California sweltered in September, as Death Valley recorded the Earth's hottest day, with the mercury hitting 53 degrees Celsius. In Africa, Nigeria saw the worst floods in more than a decade. And by the end of the year, Southeast Australia was in the midst of its fourth major flooding event, with Sydney having its wettest year on record. The World Meteorological Organization says the telltale signs and impacts of climate change are becoming more dramatic, and with greenhouse gases continuing to rise after reaching record levels last year, the frequency and force of severe weather events are expected to be even more extreme in the future.
Well, that's our news until now. We'll have more news coming up at 12 noon in the CBC Newsday. Morning Barbados takes a break here. We're back with more in just a moment.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
There is a saying, you can find a Bajan anywhere. Are you a Bajan living abroad? Or do you know of one who has migrated to another country? Well, we at Mornin Barbados would love to have you or them on our Bajan Afar segment. Share your amazing stories, experiences, and how you have adapted to a new culture. Send us an email to morninbarbados@cbc.vb, and together we will travel the world.
The CBC That Made Us, featuring programming from yesteryear, which impacted the lives of many Barbadians. Join me, Sean Green, taking you back to some of your favorite shows from the late 70s, 80s, and 90s during the series The CBC That Made Us, every Thursday at 8:30 p.m. and repeated on Fridays, 11:30 a.m. The CBC That Made Us.
Enjoy movies, soaps, drama, comedy, inspiration, education, music, and more. You get it all when you get MCTV, because MCTV gives you more.
Some ask, what makes Barbados so special? We at Mornin Barbados say it's you, our exceptional youth. You are talented, resilient, and inspirational. You are the epitome of the Barbadian spirit, testing the boundaries of your creativity. If you are an entrepreneur, artist, baker, designer, author, or have done anything you think should be highlighted, email us at morninbarbados@cbc.bb. Let us show the world our exceptional Bajan youth.
Books open your heart, your mind, and your soul. They are educational, entertaining, inspiring, and motivating. Are you an author of a recent book you want to share? Then Mornin Barbados would love to feature your book in our The Next Chapter segment. Send us an email to morninbarbados@cbc.bb. That's morning without the G.
The apartment made just for two. The ladies couldn't stay separate for long. And nothing brings Bajans together like a good piece of gossip.
Well, hey!
Now, what I like now?
Look how she come home late on this Christmas Eve night. Right outside to get she kissing a man in red and white. Under the mango tree, I see a man making she merry. When I question her furiously, this is the answer she given me. Santa Claus, he's in town, he comes by once a year. Don't be vexed because he came around and didn't visit you, but dear. But Maisie, in all honesty, why not under the Christmas tree? Maisie, I ain't vexed because I ain't want nothing with Santa Claus. Maisie, where is the reindeer? Maisie, I ain't seen no sleigh. If he ain't got reindeer, I swear he came on BW, yeah.
It is so good to see Chantal Martin in a totally different light. Chantal Martin, Barbados opera singer there, now joins me live. Good morning to you, Chantal.
Good morning, Pearson. How are you today?
I am very well. How you have grown, my friend. I remember, Chantal, I first met you as this little girl, and then suddenly look at who you are. You're now one of our best. You've gone off to travel. You've traveled the world. You ply your trade, and you do it very well. And now you forayed into something known as the Chantal Show. What's that about?
Yeah, so basically, I guess after COVID, there were no theaters open. There was no productions to be had. All of our jobs kind of got wiped out. And I ended up back in Barbados for a while. And it was just really important for me to create space where I didn't think I saw space here for myself while I was waiting to leave. And it just happened, I guess, through social media. I started doing what I call like musical videos, where I would foray into all of my favorite shows, like Broadway shows or opera shows, and just like bring it to social media. So I decided to make it a long form format and created the Chantal Show.
Wow. Talk to me a little bit about pulling it all together, though, who you've worked with and what's been that process like.
Okay, so the process was actually very, very fast. I came off right after Halloween, and if anyone is watching is familiar with my alter ego, Heraconda, on social media, I do majority beauty work. So during October, it's all Halloween content every single day for 31 days. And so November 1st, I was like, okay, I just came off of doing that. What do I want to do? And I was like, what about me doing this long form show? So I messaged Stefan Walcott. So he's my musical arranger. And my videographer is Matthew Future Ashby from Dream Real Projects. And for audio, I use the Noise Boys. And it just came together in like, I want to say a month. We worked really hard on getting everything out in all the processes. I made sure I had my musical guest, which was Nikita. Everyone knows Nikita, the Orange Hair Songbird, and her younger brother Jabari into the mix. And yeah, it was just, it went by as a whirlwind, but I'm really glad that we got it all put together.
And how can we see, is it shown on YouTube or is it shown socially or simply on social media?
It's on YouTube, yes. So you can just type the Chantal Show into YouTube and it will come up. And I'll be doing multiple episodes, and in between episodes, there would be my usual musical videos that I've posted along the way. I'll do new ones, working with my other videographer. His name is Sleepy Did This. So we work on our musical videos together, and those will be interspersed with the bigger episodes.
You know, there's someone watching this, but Chantal, you have the voice of an angel. You are classically trained. You're an opera singer, Chantal. What are you doing? What are you doing with that talent? So how do you respond to that question?
So being trained as a classical singer, I think when we go into that space, we're all very deluded into thinking we're gonna have like huge careers, like everyone's gonna have a huge career, and it's just not like that. Our teachers make sure to tell us that as soon as we get through the doors. So I just think I'm using the talents that they gave me and the techniques that they gave me to just create and carve my own space so that I can just build off of what I want to do and what makes me happy, because the classical space is a bit toxic at times.
Yes, yes. I mean, singing is your joy, has always been your passion from a little girl. And I remember the day we opened the phone lines and the voice soared right through from the opposite end. It was Chantal Martin's voice. And ever since then, you have been singing and pleasing many audiences here in Barbados and across the world as well. So this first episode features obviously things that are Christmassy. And is it already available online?
Yes, it's already online. It's on YouTube, The Chantal Show. You can also follow us on Instagram as well as TikTok if you're on there. And yeah, I launched it on Christmas Eve.
It was launched on Christmas Eve, so we just had a couple days up, but you could still catch it, folks. The Chantal Show. And now, are you working on episode 2, 3, 4, 5, 6?
Yeah, so episode 2 is supposed to be a Valentine's episode. So if you know any leading men, I'm planning to hold auditions. But yeah, I just want to make a space where Bajan musicians that don't often get to experiment in theater or in classical music to have a space to learn how to do that, as well as stretch themselves, become versatile, and make theater accessible.
You're so correct. Are you loving the producing part of it? Are you really enjoying that bit?
Oh yeah, I love it. I think for me, when I was at school, every production I was in, I was the lead, but I was also the assistant director. I was like, I need to control this show now. So I quite enjoyed the production or the direction aspect of these shows, and I think it's just grown over time with me doing the musical videos at first, and that's kind of what propelled me to do this show. I was like, I want to make myself a really cool web series / TV show where I control all the aspects and I get to produce something and star in it and direct it and just make it very tailored to myself and others around me.
I'm so glad you're offering the opportunity for others now to audition. So for anyone who's watching who wants to be a part of the Valentine's edition and they'd like to audition, how can they do so?
Well, they can contact me through the Chantal Show Instagram, or they can contact me on my regular Instagram, which is Hiraconda. I'm looking for males to play my love interest. So if you are a singer, doesn't matter what type of singer you are, and you want to try your hand at some theater, some theatrical acting, as well as get familiar with TV work, camera work, hit me up.
All right, so folks, hit her up. Find her on Instagram and certainly look for the Chantal Show. Our commenters are already saying good morning to you, Chantal. Congratulations on your show. This is from a Barbadian who's watching overseas. So you know right away they're connecting with what's happening. So folks, you go to the YouTube page and you look for the Chantal Show. You see episode 1, which was launched on Christmas Eve, and it's still very fresh and very relevant and real. And so Chantal, we look forward to what's coming up for February for the Valentine's edition and a whole lot more straight ahead. So thank you for joining us. By the way, how is Mummy and what does Mummy think about what you're doing now?
She's good. She's downstairs right now listening to her TV on the lowest volume, so we don't have any feedback. But
Not to interrupt what we're doing.
yeah, she quite likes it. She shares it with everyone she's ever met.
Yes,
So that's
yes.
good.
I love
Upward
the
eyes, I love that.
I love that. I love the relationship you have with your mother and how your mother is there every step of the way to support every single thing you do. That's fantastic. So I want to keep that up and keep producing, keep being the excellent person who you are, and continue to use that instrument given to only you, Chantal, to please so many audiences all over the world. Thank you very much for joining me this morning.
Thank you for having me. Have
You're
a great
welcome.
day.
You too indeed. Chantal Martin is her name. She's Barbados opera singer, and now she has the Chantal Show, which is online. Go check it out. Congratulations, beautiful young lady, and congratulations coming in there from Marilyn Williams Messiah. Thank you, Marilyn, for commenting, and we want to encourage as many of you as possible to engage with the show online. Do it today and be mesmerized by the voice of Chantal Martin. We're going to take a break right here, and there's a lovely lady I can't wait to show with you. She's sitting across from me, and you get to meet her in just a moment.
Well, I asked this woman what she want for Christmas. I remember what you tell me about. Yeah, they want no diamond rings nor no bangles. She begged for a rubber song, licking up non-stop. Just a jump and spin, she raised Christmas morning. Because Kaduma Day, she was feeling sick, or she had COVID. I said, hold on a minute, darling, are you sure this is what you want? Then you hold me, and you start to shout. Here she bawling.
All I want for Christmas is a road march. A Christmas road march. A soca road march.
Alright, no problem.
All I want for Christmas is a Christmas jam. To make me jump, shake my bum, rock to the rhythm, and hold my hands, play. Christmas Day.
Man, baby, don't cry. Tell me again.
All I want for Christmas is a road march. A Christmas road march. A soca road march. All I want for Christmas is a Christmas jam.
Tell me again.
To make me jump, shake my bum, rock to the rhythm, and hold my head. All I want for Christmas is a road march.
Alright.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Books open your heart, your mind, and your soul. They are educational, entertaining, inspiring, and motivating. Are you an author of a recent book you want to share? Then Mornin Barbados would love to feature your book in our The Next Chapter segment. Send us an email to morninbarbados@cbc.bb. That's morning without the G. Come and let us turn those pages together.
Think before you click. Pigeons, think before you click. Don't forget now. Before you spread wrong information. Think before you click. Just stop and think. Think before you click. BBS. Think before you click. If you can't confirm the source of the information, think before you click. send news to your phone. Check the source or leave it alone. Cause people creating fake news to deceive you and confuse. Alright yo, accident broadcast on WhatsApp. Check yourself, don't forward that. Have respect for the victim's family. You would not share family like that. Think before you click. Agents, think before you click. Don't forget now. Before you spread wrong information. Think before you click. Just stop and think before you click. Think before you click. If you can't confirm the source of the information, think before you click.
It's 25 minutes now after 7 o'clock. I am thrilled to have in living color sitting across from me Tracy Hudson, who is a medical esthetician. Good morning to you, Tracy.
Good morning, Preston. It's such a pleasure to be back.
It is indeed so. Now, the last time we spoke, I said to you, you have such beautiful skin. And now I'm seeing it in person. She has such beautiful skin. And I asked you then, how do you do that? And how do you do that?
So amazing. You're so amazing. I take really good care of my skin. And, you know, it's what I do by default. But just, you know, making sure from the inside out that I take great care of my skin. I adhere to my AM, my PM skincare routine. I wear sunscreen. You know, I just take really good care of my skin.
It sounds like so much work.
It isn't. You know, it's a labor of love,
yes,
right? You know,
yes.
your face is one of the first thing that people see. You know, and so you know, and as we get older, we want to make sure that you're taking great care of your skin. So it's not a lot of work. And when you have quality products, it makes a difference because you don't have to use so many. You just use good things.
Yes, yes. But you said you start from the inside out. It's what you consume. It shows on the outside as well. And so your diet naturally meets your skin requirements.
Yeah, it's all factors. It's not just topically. I do topically what's necessary to the skin using, like I said, good skincare products. But it does start from the inside. It's resting. It's your diet. It's the things it's managing your stress. You know, it's all the things. It's finding joy. It's finding it's exercising. It's all the things combined. You know, all of this is our canvas.
Yes.
You know, so all the things that happen internally. You know, our bodies, our largest organ, so it shows up on the skin.
Indeed.
Yeah.
A lot of people of our complexion say to ourselves, oh, black don't crack, so we don't worry about it. It will survive. And we get it wrong, don't we?
Yeah, we do. We get it wrong, and we become a little bit lax in that respect because we lean on that sort of idea that black doesn't crack. And so what happens is as we get older, it sort of tends to drop, you know, and things happen. So you still want to make sure you're taking really great care of your skin. We think that we can omit sunscreen, for example. That's one of the big
I'm guilty
misnomers.
as charged for that.
Are you still, we talked about that before.
Yeah, but I
when
still
I was
get it
here.
wrong. I still get it wrong.
Yeah, no, it's the anti-aging for all skin types. For our skin types as African Americans, as blacks, we want to make sure we're wearing sunscreen. We want to make sure that we're taking great care of our skin because things do start to change as we start to get older with our skin.
Well, how I found.
No matter what, you and me, you're not alone. You're not alone.
But you also mentioned the AM, PM routine.
Yes.
And for a lot of us, and I deliberately went into the factor of time deliberately because oftentimes we think we don't have enough time for those routines.
Yeah.
We'll just use regular soap and that's it. I saw your reaction.
Cringed. Did you really? I cringed. I was like, ooh.
Yes.
You know, it's a matter of the AM skincare routine. It's a lot easier than people realize. Your AM skincare routine, you know, can be very abbreviated because you put in the work during your PM skincare routine. And one of the tips that I give on my social media platform is doing your PM skincare routine early, not waiting till the end of the day when you're tired. So do it earlier in the day when you have a little bit more enthusiasm, when you have a little bit more vitality, when you're more intentional about it.
Right.
You know, and so it's also You know, the bathroom's a magical place. You know,
Yeah.
I always find
you
it.
sound better. You look
It's
better.
yeah, you know, and so get into it.
Yes,
Enjoy
yes.
that time. Enjoy the process. You know, so start early. You know, I joke about it. There's, you know, I'll have a glass of wine. You know, sometimes there's music going. I do my skincare routine. It's that really great time to kind of spend that time with yourself and pour into yourself. So do your PM skincare routine nice and early when you have a lot of energy. The next morning, it's a quicker, you know, process. And so it's not really, it's loving yourself.
It's loving yourself.
It's loving
Yes,
yourself.
yes. Moisturizing, though, you know, us men, we frown at that. You think, that's for the girls to do, those kinds of things. But would you suggest that men also take some time to consider moisturizing?
I think that skincare is not gender specific, and it's probably one of the things that kind of gets under is that, you know, sometimes people come out with a men's skincare line. It's condition based. It's not gender based, right? So men should moisturize. Men should wear sunscreen. Men, I love that a lot of my men are coming in getting facials. They're having chemical peel services. They're taking as good of care as their skin as women are, and they should. And it's the same. Whatever cleanser is for oily skin, it works for men and women. Whatever moisturizer, whatever those parts, it's not a gender thing. It's a condition thing.
So, with all of that said, it's not easy to walk into any pharmacy anywhere and just look and say, okay, I'm just going to pick up the first thing I see. Is there a danger in doing that? Or should we really read the labels carefully and understand what our skin is?
I think the first step is exactly what you said, is understanding what your skin is. If your skin is oily, if your skin is dry, and then be advised that way. It's always really great, though. I'm a big fan of, like, if you're able to be under the care of an esthetician. You know, it sounds like a luxury, but and maybe it is. But so that you get that guidance, so you can get understanding of what your skin needs, and you're not stuck reading labels and trying to understand technical terms that, you know, you may not understand. So
got that right.
Yeah, it's confusing.
And there again is where the men get turned off, because it's like, oh my gosh, well, I don't understand any of this, so you know what, I'll just reach for the next bar of soap. And that's it.
Yeah, and sometimes that can be drying in terms of it being dangerous. Sometimes you can dry out your skin, and then it becomes overwhelming. You get confused. You know, so again, I know even here on the island, there's great estheticians and skincare specialists to help guide you along the way. You know, and
given that we live on this island where we're pounded by the sea breeze, natural air, the kind of air that we breathe, and so the salt in the atmosphere as well, what advice would you give to people like us, the island people, who are battling skin conditions that are not normal?
I'm going to go back to, again, I'm going to default to making sure that you're wearing sunscreen. Making sure that you're moisturizing. There's the oil attracts oil. So another sort of misconception is for African American and black skin is that we don't need to moisturize because our skin is oily. But it's a different, true moisture that penetrates the epidermis is a little bit different than something that's sitting on top of the skin. So you still need to moisturize. Exfoliation. Making sure exfoliating, you know, in this type of climate, exfoliating, you know, once a week, once every 10 days. So you want to make sure you're moisturizing, you want to make sure you're exfoliating, you want to make sure you're wearing sunscreen, and you want to make sure that you're cleansing your skin and doing a double wash at night to make sure you've gotten all the exactly.
So much to remember to do about people. It's a routine. It's self-care, self-love, as you put it.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. It's just,
remind me the range of products that you do, because I know that you have a product for our skin type and for most skin types, really. So talk to me a little bit about the products that you have available.
I have cleansers for all skin types, from dry to oily. I work with a lot of clients who are acneic, who have, you know, acne, hyperpigmentation. I have lightening and brightening pads for that. One of the things that I find with ethnic skin is we deal with a lot of hyperpigmentation. So I specialize and have a lot of corrective products for that. So I have the core products, cleansers, moisturizers, sunscreens, hyaluronic serums, vitamin C serums, all the things, right? You know, again, it's not overwhelming. You get what you need. You don't need to purchase the entire line. But then when you're going through something specific, for example, hyperpigmentation, you might need to kind of buy into something that contains something to correct that, like hydroquinone, kojic, arbutin, things like that, to brighten the complexion.
Right. We're showing you folks on our screen, your screen. Just take a look very carefully. You'll see what we're talking about here and how easy it is to apply. You know, you can do it yourself. You get all of these tips as well on your social media, no doubt.
I have to tell you, I love giving tips and and doing giveaways and, you know, kind of bringing, you know, the educational piece along.
Yes. So what's your social media handle so that we can all flood it now? We're getting more information.
It's Tracy Hudson Skincare. It's at Tracy Hudson Skincare. Yes, and I'm in this period, in this season, I feel very blessed and just humbled by the followers and people who I did a giveaway, for example, on yesterday. I'm in the process of doing one, and the question that I asked was, what was one of the things that you learned from me, one of the skincare tips, and I haven't read, I'm going to go through and read them all, but I saw, I just, you know, just seeing all the little tips and that people, you know, they say if you impact one person, you know, if you change the life of one person, then you've done something, and so I feel very touched.
That is beautiful. Your first Christmas in my land, my homeland. How has it been?
You know what? I have no words. This is my third trip, I think, here, and every time I come, it's adorable. I'm having the most amazing time.
Nice.
I've gone to a couple fetes, as you call them.
Excuse me.
I've been fetting.
Great. Are you going to be here on December 31st?
I am. I'm here for the New Year's as well. Yes.
Super.
Yes.
Then you're going to have the time of your life. A different way of experiencing the transition into a new year. Don't be afraid.
Okay. What am I in for?
Don't worry about it.
Okay.
Just go with the flow.
Go with the flow. Okay. All right.
You'll have a great time. And the last time you were with us as well, I challenged you to have your products on our shelves. All right, so
you know, a work in progress. A work in progress.
There we go.
I would love to. I would love to. Absolutely, yes. I'd love to not only have the products on the shelves here in Barbados, but I'd love to actually do some treatments.
Yes.
Yeah, I would love to sort of hands-on and get clinical.
Yes.
Yeah, that'd be great.
So let's make this happen, shall we?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
There we go. So shall it be in the end, indeed. Thank you so much. So good to see you.
It was such a pleasure. Have an amazing, amazing New Year, prosperous, beautiful. And thank you for having me.
You too. You're just as beautiful in person as you were online. Even more beautiful, as a matter of fact. The skin continues to glow. I love it. And therefore, we know what we ourselves can have, because she's the best example of what it is. Tracy, Patricia Ben says, Tracy, thank you for sharing the great advice to everyone. That's what our social media commenters are saying. And so we want to encourage you folks. So remember, it is Tracy Hudson
Skincare.
Tracy Hudson Skincare. Online, you get those tips. You get to buy the products. You get to experience it for yourself. And leave some tips for Tracy as well. So let her know what it has meant for you to be using her products as well. She'd love to hear from you wherever you are across the world. Get it today. Tracy, thank you.
It's my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
We're taking a break here. We're coming back with more in just a moment.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Rocking around the Christmas tree, have a happy holiday.
So, I'm Sam.
I'm Alicia.
I'm Nadia. And we're from the television's production department at Caribbean Broadcasting Corporation.
Wishing you a Merry Christmas
and a Happy New Year.
Season's greetings.
And I all body hand.
Me too.
All body hand.
While you go about your business, we go about our business, and that is gathering the news. Stay up to date at CBC News Barbados on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. Get news update on radio throughout the day. And join us for the CBC News Night at 7 every night. CBC News team is on the job and bringing you the news.
There is a saying, you can find a Bajan anywhere. Are you a Bajan living abroad? Or do you know of one who has migrated to another country? Well, we at Mornin Barbados would love to have you or them on our Bajan Afar segment. Share your amazing stories, experiences, and how you have adapted to a new culture. Send us an email to
Morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
21 minutes now to go to the hour of 8 o'clock. The last time we were together was almost a whole year ago. Bishop Dr. Marlon Husbands, good morning to you.
Good morning, Pearson. It's so wonderful to be here.
Good to see you yet again. I hope you had a Merry Christmas and all of those things that come with it.
Yes, I had a very relaxing Christmas. I
Nice.
thoroughly enjoyed it. And I take advantage of rest. I take advantage of family. I take advantage of... And Pearson, the last time I was here, you did ask me when would my next book be coming out. I just alert you that it is coming. It is finished, and it should be on the island about in another 3 weeks. It's called The Secret Place, and I really want to get that into your hands.
Yes, please do. Please do as soon as possible. The Secret Place. Can't wait to know more about that.
Yes,
indeed.
yes.
Yeah, but you know, 2023 is just a matter of days away, we like to term it. But life is life as it is. It's a continuum, and before you know it, you're there. And so many things have happened recently over the last couple of years, within this 1 year alone, that have caused people to question who God is, whether he's real, whether he's watching what's going on, why is he doing something about it, and as a consequence, it's weakening their faith. So how do we recharge our faith and get ready for whatever the next year brings?
Yeah, the first thing you have to do is understand perspective. I would like to address your concerns and that of the viewers relative to where is God when all this wickedness is happening, this evil is kind of dominating. God is the same place he was when his only son died. Another good thing is that the things that are happening in the world have been prophetically uttered and disclosed. So for us who are believers in God and his son Jesus Christ, those who have a personal working relationship with him, we understand full well what's happening in the world, and we're not alarmed by it. We're not amazed by it. But what we can say is that based on God's prophetic calendar, there is nothing better to come. All betterment is not going to be within the context of the world. It has to be within the context of the individual. So there is hopeless, but I tell you prophetically, the things that are happening will continue to happen and even get worse. But we ourselves can be clothed with God's wonderful peace.
And that peace which passeth all understanding can be found how? Because everyone is searching for that peace in spite of all the turbulence going on around. How do we find it?
Yeah, through a personal acceptance of Jesus Christ into your life and your heart. You see, there are a lot of people that want good out of life, but yet they don't want to make the decision to create that good. We cannot find good in ourselves. Mankind is searching, we are looking. We cannot find good in ourselves. And the thing about these uncertain times is that uncertainty can only be offset by certainty.
Yes.
So you cannot treat uncertainty with the uncertain. What is uncertain? Man is uncertain. Our life is uncertain. The jobs we have are uncertain. The marriages we have are uncertain. So we have to offset uncertainty with certainty. And God is the absolute when it comes to being certain. He is unchanging, he is omniscient, he knows all, he is omnipresent, he is with us, he is all powerful. You name it, Pearson. It all starts with a personal working relationship with our Lord Jesus Christ.
So if we want to see the change that we're seeking, if we want to see the peace that we're seeking, it starts with that relationship with Jesus Christ. And when we say that, you know, people begin to get frightened. They think, but I don't want to go to church. I don't want to have all of those kinds of things. What do you say to that individual so that they can understand that it is not as challenging as they might think?
How can you enjoy Shafet if you don't taste the flavors? I mean,
Well put.
It is all but a mirage. If you want to have a taste of a good piece of chicken or whatever, I'm not buy it. In this case, you're not buying. And listen, person, salvation is nothing to be afraid of. I gave my heart to the Lord when I was 16 years. I'm now 60. That's 46, 40. How much years ago that is? 40, 50, 44 years ago. And look at me, Pearson. Does it have me looking any worse? Does it have me looking like I am ill? I mean, so having a personal relationship with Jesus Christ is wonderful, wonderful. And a church. So you cannot buy, you cannot eat your fat unless you go, unless somebody bring it for you. But technically, you go. So church is not anything to frighten anyone. Church is a wonderful place to be.
Yeah, you're among a set of people who are of like mind, who are for the same purpose, and that's what it's about. And you know, our commenters off social media loves this. Patricia Ben says, "Yes, Bishop, you're correct. God is still the same place He's always been," and so that's what we want people to begin to realize. And when you're beginning to lose hope and lose faith, remember God is constant. He has never changed, and His promises have always remained the very, very same. And there's a part of the Bible that says, "Draw close to me, and I'll draw close to you as well." And so that's the personal friendship and relationship you're talking about.
That it dovetails so beautifully into my book, The Secret Place. Psalm 91, he that dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall abide. What that abide there means? You should have good life. You should have abundant life. You should have life that is worth living regardless of the turmoil. And Pearson, there is a lot of turmoil in the world. There's a lot of nonsense happening in the world. There are a lot of belief systems that are being triggered that are ungodly. But in the midst of this, there are still a remnant of people in the earth who will continue to let their light shine for the glory of God. And I am one of those people. There are many people who are now watching that are also a part of that clan. Pearson, you can be if you're not already a part of that clan. So it is wonderful. Listen, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what happens in the world. You can rest in the arms of God. God said something very powerful in Psalm 34, verse 8. He said, "Taste and see that Jehovah is good. Happy is the man who takes refuge in Him." So God has not left us refugeless. He has comforted us and He has given us strength.
Folks, and it's, I mean, I'm going to say it's that simple. I know it sounds real cliche to a lot of you, but it's truly that simple. And oftentimes when you feel lost, you reach for a roadmap. You dig into your glove compartment, you find a map, you go to Google and you try to find Google Earth and Waze and whatever those apps are. There's one great app. It's called the Bible. And I can't imagine why you don't understand that that is your roadmap for life. It gives you the hope. It takes you to the destination safely, but it also lets you know that there is a positive destination. And so when you're feeling lost and hopeless, that's where you turn. That's the relationship that Pastor's talking about this morning. And so I know you're going to be doing a series of worship services as the new year begins to turn. I want to give you a chance before we go to be able to talk to people about how we can come and share in your ministry there at the Empowerment.
Yes, we have our All Year's Night service beginning at 10 o'clock on Saturday night. And we go through until about 12:30. It's going to be high energy, Pearson. You know, Sanctuary Empowerment Center, we are very high energy, and we are really giving thanks to God. We have come through so much. The world has gone through so much over the past 2 years, 2.5 years, and we are gathering that day to give thanks to the Lord. We're not having service the Sunday morning as usual, because we are obviously going in from the Saturday night into the Sunday morning early. So we are showing some kindness and consideration to our congregants by not bringing them back out for 10 o'clock service. But we kick off again the following Sunday at 10 a.m. I also want to say, Pearson, when it comes to capabilities to these uncertain times, there are certain things we need to understand. One, we need to understand who God is. Two, we need to have good family. We have to have good friends. You have to watch your association. You need to be reliable amongst reliable people. Another thing is that you need to watch your thinking. You need to watch your speaking. You got to make sure you speak positively over your own life. Pearson, I'm going to tell you this: words do not die. When you speak negatively, they hang in the atmosphere and wait for demonic activity to be attracted to them, and then they become a prophetic fulfillment in your life. When you speak positively, the same thing happens, but from an angelic perspective. And angels are superhuman, supernatural beings. They are there to make sure that the things we speak come to pass. Another thing is that we need to watch our belief system. And I really want to get these in fast, because these uncertain times are going to call on us to pull something out of us. Another thing we need to be is our authentic self, Pearson. Too many people live in pretense, trying to be somebody else. But if you are authentic, the world can require nothing more of you.
That's right.
And so within our belief system, if we pull all of these into a belief construct, then we realize that it is worth fighting for, it is worth finishing, and it is also worth remaining faithful to.
God will take care of you, folks. God will take care of you. Be not afraid, whatever betide, God will take care of you. And, you know, while I don't have the authority to sit here and preach, I'm telling you, God will take care of you indeed.
And Pearson, I
yes,
want to push this in, because the thing with uncertainty is, if you're navigating uncertainty, you must indeed have certainty in an absolute unchanging truth and being. And God is that unchanging. The world is so changing. My goodness, who wants to believe in the world when there's a God who never changes, that loves us?
Can't say any better than that, Bishop Marlon Husbands. As always, the secret place, hurry up. Let's get this going. I can't wait. 2023 is going to look fantastic indeed. Let's see how positive we're already speaking positively into the atmosphere. I thank you so much, my friend, for joining us this morning, as always. Looking forward to interacting with you, and spread the love to the family and everyone else at the church as well from me. Thank you so much. Thank you.
That's all right. I'll let them know.
Indeed, indeed.
Thanks for having me. Blessings.
You're welcome, you're welcome. Bishop Dr. Marlon Husbands, again, showing you that there's reason to have hope. And it comes from your relationship with God, indeed, and through the reading of the Bible, getting to know His promises, which are true. We're taking a break here. We're coming back with more in just a moment. That much is true.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Family shows were hot features for late Saturday mornings into afternoons, including The Dukes of Hazzard and Fame with a young Janet Jackson, but none more popular than probably this one. The Brady Bunch, the story of a man named Brady, an architect widower with 3 sons, Greg, Peter, Bobby. He meets and marries Carol with 3 daughters of her own, a family of 8. We can't name all of them, but surely other popular Saturday and sometimes weekly hits included this one about an all-girls dormitory learning about the facts of life.
And there you have the facts of life. The facts of life. There's a time you gotta go.
When did y'all take that song away from me? Sean Green, good morning. Sean is the presenter, producer of the CBC That Made Us, a new series on TV. Sean, good morning. Sean, the facts of life. There you are.
I couldn't hear you.
Morning, my friend. How are you doing this morning?
Good morning. I'm good. Up early. You have me up early.
Yeah, listen, I just sat there and watched that one of those episodes with you just a moment ago, and I just got into it right away. The facts of it, the theme songs I enjoyed, the Dukes of Hazzards, Quantum Leap. All of these memories just began to trigger. And you know what it says? That CBC, over the 59 years we've been here so far, has really brought Barbadians everything good across the world.
Yes, that's right, Pearson. You know, this idea to do this show came to me. I was in a studio upstairs, and and some show was on that I used to watch when I was a boy. I think it was Flipper or something like that. You know, the dolphin. You know that one, right? Right,
of course. Right. Of course.
So that's where I got the idea. Because just sitting down there waiting to read and just watching that for a few minutes, it actually took me back. And I was like, maybe it may be a good idea to show this to other Barbadians. Yes. And you know what? There's a whole generation of young Barbadians out there that have no idea the sort of programming that we grew up with watching CBC.
You know, now you triggered it for me, Fraggle Rock. Fraggle Rock, that was one of my Saturday morning things, Fraggle Rock. And that's what the whole series is about. It's being able to look back at the times that we've lived and the moments we've all shared as a family, the moments we've shared as a child, growing up into being an adult as well. And so how has it been for you really going through the library, finding these things and being able to put it all together? What has it done to you?
Well, first of all, well for me, it has really taken me back. I mean, I'm not going to reveal my age right now, but when I found these shows like Fraggle Rock, and doing the research and actually watching these shows, I have to admit, I didn't just watch the intros. I actually sat down and actually started to watch.
Watch the show. Yes,
you know?
yes.
It just reminded me where I was, the kind of stage I was in my life when I was watching them. And what I also did too, because I couldn't rely on my memory alone, because there's so many shows that I just cannot get into half hour. I actually did an informal survey among my friends and family, asking them from the 80s and 90s which shows were your favorites. And from that information, that's how I really went about compiling everything. And as you know, with a show like this, you are going to get criticism from the ones that would say, well, you didn't show this and you didn't show that.
Yes.
You know, but you know, you cannot get everything. Sorry if your favorite show didn't make it. But everything can't get in. But I selected what I figured were probably the more popular shows.
You know, on the 16th, Friday the 16th of December, or thereabouts, I was somewhere else, and I was amazed at how many people walked up to me and started talking about the show, and talking a lot more about, you know, the things that they remember that you and I had started talking about. And so this is what we're talking about. Look at this, this is Selma?
Selma Green. That's Selma.
And how we used to do the weather. Look at that, folks. That's how we used to do the weather forecast, and how far we've come. We've come so far in the way we do things. This is fun. Look at this.
Is that a TV antenna in her hand?
Makes you wonder, doesn't it? You know, look at Selma where her hair was much shorter indeed. And that's what you do. When is the show on the channel, so that those who are watching us right now, who may not be watching later on, that they know not to miss it? What time and day?
Well, it airs every Thursday, so it's on tonight. Tonight, 8:30.
Today's Thursday. Yes.
Yes, and it's going to be repeated on Fridays at 11:30. So it's a 5-part series. We've had 2 programs so far. So tonight is the 3rd one. So tonight's focus, we are stepping into the 90s tonight. And of course, we're starting local. So we're going to look at some of those local shows that we used to enjoy back in the 90s. And then, of course, next week we would go around the region. And then finally, for the last 90 show, we have 3 90 shows. We're going to get back some American programming. So I really enjoyed it. And Pearson, I actually set up a little game that I want to play with you this morning. So what I want to do, I'm going to call a genre and a year. I want you to identify what was your favorite show from that genre and from that year.
Okay.
So let's start with cartoons and children's shows from the 80s. What was your favorite?
Sesame Street.
Sesame
and
Street.
Tom and Jerry.
Love Tom and Jerry?
Yeah, don't you?
No, I love cats. So any show that have a cat being unfair, I just don't.
No.
Not one of my favorites.
Do you remember Scooby-Doo?
Yeah, not one of my favorites either, but no.
No,
I love Thundercats though. I love Thundercats. That was my favorite.
Fair enough. What is your favorite then, Sean?
Right, Thundercats.
Thundercats. Father forgive him. Father forgive him. No problem. Next question. You have one more? You have one more for me?
You mentioned it earlier, Fraggle Rock. I really love Fraggle. Well, everybody pretty much loves Sesame Street.
Of course. You know, the trash heap has spoken. You kidding me? To this day, I still remember it. And that's the kind of conversations that we want around the family when we watch the show at 8:30 this evening. Repeated tomorrow morning, Friday at 11. You said 11 or 11:30?
11:30 tomorrow. And it's also online as well. So you can catch it on Facebook. And it's also on YouTube as well.
See? The CBC that made us all of this from the Caribbean Broadcasting Corporation, 59 years. And you can't say that you've not traveled the world through your screen here at CBC indeed. Sean, I wish you the very best. I challenge you again to look at commercials. I told you there's some really sweet commercials that have played over the centuries, well, not centuries, but the decades. And if you could get the permission to get them on, I think that would make some really good viewing as well. But that's at you. That's my challenge to you. Thank you so much for joining, Sean.
Yes, thank you. Been my pleasure, Pearson.
All right. So, folks, this evening, 8:30 on TV8, the CBC that made us. Tomorrow morning at 11:30 if you missed it tonight. So, that's it for today. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Pearson Boyne. For the crew, to all of you, have a terrific today. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Barbados, get up. Good morning.